and welcome to another episode of the Voices of Workers podcast. I know everyone has been expecting us because from the last episode till now, I don't think we have released any other episode.
No, we haven't.
Yes, this government economic policy is taking its toll on us. And before we got here today, I had to spend like ×2 of the regular transportation costs that I would spend.
So you didn't carry Uber?
Juwon carries Uber. I don't. I'm a fatherless child, and every day I have to take down food. I cannot afford Uber. Juwon still has a father and a mother, so I cannot afford that. Oh, Napep. Unfortunately, I don't roll with the poor, so I'm sorry, but I am not with Juwon on this. I didn't take Napep. I took down food. On the last episode, we implored each and every one of you to endeavor and join a union. In the comment section today, we want to know how many people have decided to join a union since the last episode. You know, like we mentioned in the last episode, even if you were a remote worker, the people in the gig economy sector,
there's a union for you.
There is a union for you.
Yeah.
And I particularly mentioned that even if you don't have a union,
Go and start one.
We'll register you, it will be recognized. Yeah. Welcome to another episode of the Voices of Workers podcast. And today with us, we have somebody whose name may resonate with a few of our people, because lately we have realized that a lot of our people's struggles are not documented, and it's so unfortunate that the younger generations may never have the opportunity to read from them or hear from them. But not to worry, that's why this podcast exists. We are going to hear from them live and direct. So today we have with us, should I say, is there a title I'm supposed to use?
Please.
Just go.
Should I use chief? I mean, it's royal. No,
it's a revolutionary.
It's a revolutionary. So I'm just going to say, today we have with us Comrade Malachy.
Barrister Malachy.
You said he's a revolutionary.
It's also a revolutionary now.
So we should use, barrister.
Comrade.
So that people will not think he's uneducated. That's how we are using barrister. Barrister Comrade Malachy Odumbadu.
Yeah.
In fact, this person was one time this, one time that. This time this time that. It was, I think it was, the president
of the CDHR?
The CDHR, the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. If somebody can rise to that rank of the CDHR, you know that they mean business, innit? I'm sorry, I just got back from the US.
Which US? You have to be specific.
United States of Shomolu. Anyways, welcome with us today, Comrade Barrister Malachy.
Yes, and it's also, before it goes, it's also a former student union leader at the University of Nigeria, UNN.
Do you know that I didn't know UNN used to have activists? Because these days they are like the most silent of them all.
They were lions. They were lions.
At the time.
Yes, they were lions. And he's a lion.
Just to remind you that Chima Obani was a UNN. Emma Zazo, Wale Odiaye, Olisa Bakoba, they are UNN. But those were days before we even came.
Comrade does not even like to waste time. He's already into it. Yeah. With or without our introduction, please have with us in the studio today, Comrade Barrister
Malachy Odumbadu.
Thank you. Yes.
Our club went down my Comrade, nice to have you. Because
thank you very much.
You have so many portfolios, including you are co-chairing at the Human Rights Committee of the Nigerian Barr Association, and so
it was so difficult to pick one thing to introduce him with.
And he was also a leader in JACON.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's an important aspect of it.
Yes.
JACON is a Joint Action Congress of Nigeria. It was led by Chief Gani Fawemi.
Yes.
So we are talking about people who fought for democracy, not the fake Tinubu.
Please, we did not mention anybody's name.
Okay.
But not the fake participants. Okay, do you want some your own
So come with it's really nice to have you.
It's nice to have you.
I'm delighted to be here. And I'm proud to to associate with you. I've been following your activities, and I think this is inspiring.
Did you mean both of us or
both of you?
Me only?
No, let me before I ask.
Both of you are here.
Before I ask my question. It's important I mention this. When we were in the student movement,
yes,
over 33 persons were expelled at the Federal University of Technology, Owerri.
Yes.
So the PRO of the student union came all the way from Futo down to Lagos. He was sure that when he got to Lagos, his problem would be solved. And indeed, his optimism was proven right. Because all we just had to do at the time, Pastor Malachy was president of the CDHR.
That's right.
We just went to his office and told him, look, our comrades have been sent out of school. And we need to fight this at no cost. Pastor Malachy took up the case. And today, all 33 students were arrested.
This is to remind you to do pro bono services for student leaders. It's enough that they are going through victimization as a result of their activism. We don't. Okay, no, I'm no longer saying, but they don't have money. They don't have money. Be like Comrade Malachy.
So, but now you have money because now you're using day. Do you have money now? Now you have money.
I still don't have money, but even though.
All right. So Comrade. We wish to ask you because one of the reasons I made mention of that case in Futo is a reflection, is because of it confirms some of the ongoing age-long human rights abuses that the Nigerian state, through its respective institutions, have subjected citizens to, young and old. So, can you help reflect on the state of human rights in Nigeria in the last 3 years?
Okay. Again, I thank you for this opportunity. By these engagements, I'm sure that we deepen the efforts we make to enlighten ourselves and then situate these matters within the perspective that we want to see. So the opportunity is not taken for granted. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Comrade.
Human rights. In the last 2 years, that is to say, within the Tinubu administration.
Yes.
The drawback of our analysis is that, given the historical trajectory of the man at the helm of affairs now, considering also that our comrades occupy the strategic positions in the two houses in the National Assembly. They are in the leadership. I'm mentioning Okpeyemi Bamidele, who is the majority leader, and our own Professor Humberi. So, if we were very strategic, systematic, and deliberate, intentional about what we have set out for ourselves, this would have been the best of time in reflecting the culture of human rights in governance in Nigeria. But I'm afraid it is not exactly what we have. And these statements are not hanging in the air. They are well documented. Issues of human rights are clear. They are either human or fundamental.
Right.
They are human because, by reason of the fact that we are human beings.
We are humans.
They are fundamental because they are enacted and entrenched in the organic laws of the state, which is the Constitution. But they are not strange to us. I mean, and so when you say what is the state of human rights, our mind goes to issues of press freedom, freedom of expression.
Yeah.
What about our liberty to human dignity? What about fair hearing before either you are punished or we're making jokes that she cut her hair because they used to harass her because of that hair she was carrying, the tattoo on her body. They are all forms of expression. Demonstration is a form of expression. And it was very concerning, for instance, that a Buhari government inherited by Tinubu government could be found wanting on those areas of freedom of expression because, in fact, Buhari himself went on a protest leading his political party, AMPP, those days,
Yes.
and were badly tear gassed by the police somewhere in Kano. Late Chuba Okadibu died as a result of the gas fumes from the canisters, tear gas canisters. And they didn't stop there. They instituted an action in court. Of course, our comrade Femi Falana SAN took on the matter on their behalf from Federal High Court up to the Court of Appeal. At the Federal High Court, they won. That is to say that their right to freely assemble and express themselves through the protests they were having was a fundamental right entrenched in the Constitution. Of course, the state was not satisfied by that and went on appeal. At the Court of Appeal, it was affirmed that we do not owe the state a duty to seek permission
To
assemble, to express that fundamental right to freely express ourselves.
Of course.
The requirement for permission was one of the relics of the colonial rule in Nigeria, where you needed permission to, and then struck down the Public Order Act, which they were relying on. Now, I make this point because if you leave dignity of human person, freedom of expression, right to life, and so on and so forth, you will then find that the one that has suffered most within the period under review is the freedom of expression. And the state has disingenuously, harped on a very innocuous law. I say innocuous because the law itself has been amended to remove some of the obnoxious sections that the law enforcement agencies continue to hang on to. And that's the Cybercrime Act. The Cybercrime Act made an elaborate provision that gave them the leverage to question some of the things they were doing. But when it became clear that that is already infringing on the rights of Nigerians, the campaign started, and there was an amendment to that act, which therefore removed all of those provisions that gave them power to curtail the rights of Nigerians to freely express themselves, except on issues of pornography. So where the police, the army, and the secret service, DSS, continue to find the power to wreak havoc on Nigeria, is what we don't know. And I believe that what you are doing, by way of this enlightenment, sensitization, is not just timely, it is well in order to continue to emphasize these points. So the question is, how do I assess the human rights situation? We have a culture in the Committee for Defense of Human Rights to document. So beyond interventions such as this, we used to publish annual human rights reports. And it ran for a very long time.
Yes, that's true.
In which we took specific cases of human rights abuses as we get them on a daily basis, document them, and put them in a book form.
Yes.
So that way we track the incidences of rights abuses. We monitor the trend and are able to appreciate which one of them suffers most or the worst casualty in the regime of successive government. The idea is not to just document. It is to know areas that will turn the searchlight and intensify advocacy. So, when a people are not free to engage in a manner distinct from the dictates of the government, then you cannot be talking truly about democracy. Because democracy is not hanging in the air.
Yeah.
Democracy is a project with thresholds, parameters, pillars.
Yes.
These are issues of human rights, free media,
Yes.
which must guarantee plurality of views, independence and impartiality of the judiciary, active and viable civil society organizations without fear or let, and so on and so forth. So that component that constitutes a major part of the democratization effort is the human rights issues. So a government may be shouting itself hoarse on the issue of social security, on buying fertilizer for farmers, but usually it is intangible. You really cannot touch it. The way you suffer the transgressions and malfeasance of governance in that area, you have altogether failed. Because what restores the dignity of man are those components of our existence that needed to be guaranteed, for which reason they are protected. In fact, technically they say those rights are inalienable.
Yeah.
They are inalienable because you can't just walk and take them away.
They are not debatable.
No. If you violate them, it
There are consequences.
activates my right to contest the propriety of what you have done.
Of course.
By and large, we are not scoring them high because the expectations were quite high, given the background that we all share, and considering that democratization needed to be an idea with a bigger objective, which ultimately ought to culminate in the restoration of our humanity, the dignity of the human being. As one who has all of these, it is those things that make you think about taking away your right to privacy, for instance.
Yeah.
You may know, it may sound very intangible and distant. Surveillance. Your privacy, it is when you are arrested and detained, for instance, you will know and value some of these things. And it is for very clear reasons that these rights are protected. So, we're not scoring them high. We believe they have the opportunity and resources to do by far more than what they are doing. And then the flip side of it is that when these rights are violated, it takes not just excessive time to seek redress. In most cases, it is quite expensive, except, of course, that you have a community of rights-conscious lawyers who are ready, again, pro bono, using your word, to engage.
Yeah.
Which is also coming at a cost.
Yeah, the cost. But we've taken it as our life journey, almost a religion, to continually. Imagine in my own case, for instance, degree was withheld. I've shared this with you. No result, no degree, no certificate. But it took an organized group of right activists under the platform of CDHR. And for 2 years, we're in court. So, if that didn't happen, and if we're unable to replicate it, a lot more people will find themselves on the wrong side of the whole.
It's true.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Comrade. To be honest, what you said about the CDHR and the Human Rights Commission developing the paperwork is actually very true.
Yes.
Because I remember that as a journalist intern some years ago, there were some news stories and feature stories that I wrote, and my only point of reference at the time were those books. I was able to cite the total number of gender-based violence that happened per state for a duration of time, and that book was very helpful.
Very well.
And it was available for use. You didn't have to write to a godfather before you were able to acquire it.
Or go to which is
So at that time, you are able to know which states are the highest human rights violation, child rights abuse, gender-based violence. labor rights abuse.
Correct.
It was everywhere at that time. And because you also mentioned, the cybercrime thing.
Correct.
Very recently, we have noticed a trend in the arrest and detention of a lot of people by the police, and what they eventually refer to is the Cybercrime Act.
Yeah.
Through this act, they have been able to arrest and detain, prosecute even, and even remand in prison a lot of people. We know the story of, I think there's this person who criticized one religious leader, Ijele. Yes, who spent over a year in prison without trial. We also have that of, as a matter of fact, we have a popular figure, a presidential candidate. A presidential candidate, Omoyele Sowore, was detained. There's a lot of people who have been arrested, detained, and prosecuted on this as a result of violating the Cybercrime Act. So, as the co-chairman of the Human Rights Commission of the Nigerian Bar Association, we would like to know what the Nigerian Bar Association thinks about this particular issue, because it's fast becoming a trend, and if we are not careful, it will become a part of us.
Very important question.
And what steps are we taking?
Great. Now, for the record, it is actually known as the Citizens Liberty Committee.
Okay.
CLC. I am the alternate chairman. We've not found our anchor in MBA. In fact, some of us have not been active or seriously involved because of not just the bureaucracy, but the real soul of that body. It still remains not just a conservative association, it is a class organization. Yes, they tout themselves and pride themselves as the assemblage of lawyers who are disposed, mark my word, to issues of rights, justice, and all that. But they are deeply buried in the womb of the crisis we find ourselves. I say this very deliberately and consciously, because we're no longer talking about the days of Alaa Kabasho, who held on the MBA as a true tool for social engineering, who leveraged on the knowledge power within that association to amplify the kind of courage and resilience expected of lawyers in any society, any and every society. You should see what they are doing in Tanzania, in Kenya, Uganda, talking about African countries, so that we don't travel too far. And if you see the quality of even judgment, and those judgments are products of the kind of cases that are taken there. I say this because there's always room for improvement. Many of us have found platforms other than the MBA to dramatize capacity in terms of engaging.
Like the CDH.
Yes. In short, I wasn't just the president. I was 2 times the general secretary of Committee for Defense of Human.
Before you became president.
Yes. So we rose. In short, I worked in CDHR. As a research officer, soon after I was driven away from the university. That is because we know how far we could utilize that, other than the body of people who wear ties and, mark me. So, but back to your question. The present president, if you like, leadership of MBA, found the need to create this committee. That for me is a pointer. It wasn't there in the past. Yes, you could have, as a general policy of administration, of leadership, the desire to promote human rights, respect, and all that. But to now create and then bring on board people like us, and I called him. Are you sure? Are you sure you can have
Are you
me?
sure you know what you are doing?
Are you sure you can have me in this committee?
Because I was also very surprised. I saw you,
Yes.
I saw DBF Young, I saw DJ. I was
Yes.
like, ah.
So that tells you the mindset of this young guy. And I think he was deliberate in doing what he was doing, because what he barely did was to look at the track record of people whom he was getting involved on that platform, to say, if we get them involved, and as he recently told me, even by their natural disposition, the work will be done. And so we really, because this is things we live by and live on. And so there are so many cases already handled. Whether they are properly reported, I can't tell that, because what to do is to deal with those cases, submit it to NEC and all that and all that. From the arrest of, there was this protest in Kano, where children were running around the mountains, and many were packed as juveniles into. It took that committee to rescue virtually all of them. There were those who were involved in, I think, the anniversary of NSAS.
NSAS.
Yes, all over the country, up to Port Harcourt, I remember. Twice I was in Abuja just to give solidarity and be in court, so on and so forth. So they're quite, in short, I was invited by ASU to deliver a lecture during their NEC meeting at Abuja. And it was reported that it was the Citizen Liberty Committee that rescued one of their members somewhere in Sokoto, because he was involved in a protest and got arrested on account of the overzealousness of law enforcement agencies and so on and so forth. So it is true that work is being done. The issue now is what is the commensurate, at what proportion in relation to the degree of and I think programs like this is quite important, just so that the public becomes aware that these bodies exist, and they engage in pro bono cases in which people who suffer human rights abuses do not need to write to the president of Nigerian Bar Association. We already, with all modesty, face in the struggle.
Of course.
You just mentioned my colleague Inebe here, even Deji. They were there. So all of those things we were doing individually has now been mainstreamed, yes, into the larger organizational platform. And we are ready to
Can you remind us the name of the committee again?
Citizens Liberties Committee, CLC,
Liberty
Committee of the Nigerian Bar Association.
Nigerian Bar Association.
Yes.
So you do not have to try to reach AFAM before you reach out to the NBA about issues of violations of human rights and everything.
And in fact, we are charged to work closely with the local branches of MBA. So if you are not able to get to all, you can get to the branches. Oh, that's fine.
It means you can walk into
MBA
every state chapter,
usually in the
every
course.
secretariat of the MBA to
make a report.
issues like this.
Issues of any human rights abuses.
Yes.
Just walk into any office of the
Yes,
NBA.
we have people like Comrade, Barrister Malachy, available to attend to these issues, because to be very honest, one of the things that discourage people from pursuing these matters is, first, where will I see money?
Yeah, to get a lawyer.
They'll tell you, I don't get lawyer money. Oh, me where they no pay salary. I'm struggling to eat. How would I afford the fees of the lawyer?
You know, when I was also sent out from the university, and then I took a decision to sue the university authorities to court. People were asking me that, so where am I going to see money?
Yes.
Where am I going to get the money from?
Because it's important.
And interestingly, but I belong to a revolutionary organization that provided free legal service.
Yes.
I mean, the lawyer that defended me was Barrister Lekon Alabi, who was a protege of Barrister
GT Oguye.
Yes.
Lekon Alabi is my classmate. Yeah.
Yes.
Great guy.
So you don't need to have thousands of dollars or millions or anything.
What is important is the force of your conviction.
Yes.
That I'm a Nigerian, my right has been violated. I reserve the right to contest the propriety of what has happened.
Yes.
And I'm going to do that through the legitimate instruments of the law.
Sorry
people.
for bringing. I know this was even not part of the conversation, but it recently came up while we were preparing for this podcast, and I seriously, in good conscience, want us to talk about it. The 3 students at the University of Ibadan had been suspended
Today
for 4 semesters because they protested against fee increments.
Yes.
You understand? And I sincerely wish that you could make a statement
That's right.
about those students.
Well, I think having a program like this, if they are watching or will have access to this program, will give them some measure of hope. My own battle with the University of Nigeria was also on account of increment in tuition fee. Tuition, they call it tuition and service fee.
How many years now?
Oh well, I'm talking of 1996 during Abacha's time. I'm not sure you were born then.
We were born.
Okay. Yes, running around the streets. So, look, a very interesting story. Abacha was worse than Babangida. He was indeed a demented military dictator. Demented would mean that he had some... killing wasn't a problem. And they were killer squad, as you may have heard from the trial of Sergeant Rogers and all that. They have institutionalized snipers.
Wow.
Whose responsibility were to terminate lives and then, infuse fear. That was the era we operated in. No phone.
Student leaders.
Yes. No.
And people say our previous generation.
No phone, no WhatsApp, no. What was this one you sent to TikTok? We didn't know of those things.
And you had people working with you.
And we could collapse a government on account of the force of our conviction, like I said. And you see people who were genuinely committed to this struggle. And so, Abacha needed to demobilize the centers of agitation. The universities were not excluded. In other words, they were inclusive. So, he sent a full-blown soldier to Ahmadu Bello University. You people may not know. Major General Maman Kantangora, at a point, 1996, thereabout, 95, was sent to Ahmadu Bello University, while Professor U.D. Gunwork, the same Gunwork family from Plateau, was sent to University of Nigeria. He got to University of Nigeria with that mandate as a sole administrator, as if you are operating one cooperative bank or whatever, and was given a clear instruction to make sure that there are no voices of dissent. He got to that school and was told that at the student level, if you will succeed, look out for Malachy Ugumad. The luck I had was that we were in detention in Delta State then, because there was a military administrator of Delta State called Water Vagabond, but we used to call him Water Vagabond.
What a nice name.
Yes. They had mobilized to come and commission roads that were not concluded in Atabo, precisely, in Delta State. So 10 of us moved to the next town, that's Umunede, if you have a, and then barricaded the road. We were that crazy. Military governor coming with his, and then, so we all arrested, detained, moved to the state court. It was in that detention, that was where I was, when my appointment came as the student, general secretary. I've always been secretary everywhere. To a caretaker committee constituted by this man. What he did was, once he came, to ensure that totalitarian rule, he disbanded the Senate, did away with the governing council, scrapped the student union government. You can understand, so as to concentrate power on himself. But he was told that this young man, will not accept, because he has been campaigning for the democratization of the student union government. But I told my comrade, just lie low. Pretend as if we're
We are together.
undecided on this thing. Because right there, I had written in the detention my own rejection letter. Haven't heard what has happened.
Rejecting the appointment.
Yes. So, as we were coming back on campus after the release, I needed to have access to the appointment letter itself because that is the document you people need today.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I've shared it with either you or Comrade Away.
Yes.
As he was giving it to me, we were handing over the rejection.
rejection letter.
That became, because he was already told. And then we were very tiny. The arrest came and so on and so forth. So the point I make is that it was on account of the increase in student union. When he had disbanded all these organs of the institution, he increased the fees, knowing that there won't be any opposition. But we have read the law. We were interested in the aspects of the legislation that empowered us to ask legitimate questions. The University of Nigeria Act, being a federal university, as is applicable to other federal, at least federal universities in the country, gave a specific provision that made it impossible for any person, any singular person, to take decisions on issues of finance, including school fees and tuition. So if that was true, and we're already privy to the fact that you have disbanded the governing council, there is no Senate, how did you take this decision?
Yes.
That was the kind of law we were prepared to learn and prepare. So before they knew it, I was in court, mobilized just student leaders around 10 of us approached the court, and we got an injunction. In the university, you can bear me witness. Injunction was that you have won the case.
Yes.
We mass produced it and pasted it
Everywhere.
So I tell my comrades who have suffered the same fate at the University of Ibadan to remain firm. Leadership is not where you stand in times of convenience. Leadership is where you stand at all times, including this material time when it is almost, you may be lonely on that lonely track. But if you are sufficiently convinced that you are rightly motivated towards being part of the solution and not the problem, towards restoring the dignity of man, and towards looking at the bright side of your future, because you're already making history yourself, then you need the resilience, you need the tenacity, you need the staying power. Because you need to demonstrate, you need to really dramatize that they have to do by far more than they're doing at the moment.
Absolutely.
To get to your spirit. So when I see you, the younger ones, Joan, very many times, you don't know how you reenact us. You rejuvenate, it's reinforcing that it's not lost after all. Because together, we'll get there.
Yeah. Because we're also motivated by these three people like you.
Have told us.
And left behind.
Yes.
It's a legacy we have to follow.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Barry.
And because you mentioned Abacha and the days of the military, I intend to follow up with the question because there's been the popular cliche about people say the worst of democracy is better than military dictatorship. How do you react to this?
It's a mixed bag. It's a very complex one. As a citizen, you are tended to accept it. Yes. But as a lawyer who understands the factors that make up each, you wonder whether that is a statement that has been properly evaluated. You know, there are countries in the world that are not democratic, but are very prosperous. And I'm sure you know them. Some of the very fast-moving economies in the world, some of them are not democratic. The kind of experience we have had in Africa, the kind of mentality with which the military hegemony had presided over the affairs of African countries in the African continent, is such that you will be tempted to believe that that is true. So that in one breath you take away the culture of violence. I speak to you as one who was involved. Leadership of our struggle then is not about who could document stories and who could creatively develop a proposal that will get enough funding to execute projects within. No. What we were doing, leadership was determined and defined by how many who are ready to spill their blood on the street.
Yeah.
That was it. And if, you keep mentioning, they were men, the souls of this struggle, unsung heroes whose name you will never hear. In short, in most of these formations, those of us you see, we are the front. There are ideologues behind.
Yes.
In the CDHR, for instance, that I eventually led, ASU had sourced deliberately, not by happenstance. They knew that these organizations must survive. And to survive, they also need the intellectual hub to anchor what they were doing. Go and check our publications in the last 20 years. You hear names like Professor Toye Olorode,
Yes.
Professor Awokwetu. You will hear Yayi. You will hear of Dr. Baiwana. You will hear so many. Esko Toyo. You will hear Edwin Madunagwu. You will hear so many. So much so that if you attend meetings in which issues of this so-called right you are talking about, when they quarrel among themselves along the ideological opinions of those discourse, you come out a better person. Meanwhile, they were quarreling. Because your knowledge will not just be enriched, the clarity of these issues will become sharper. And you therefore go out there. That is when you realize that knowledge is actually power. So, at the end of the day, we have seen a decline in all of those culture. The component of violence defeats the benevolence that any military government can offer you.
Yes.
So that Abacha, for instance, could decide to create a PTF. A PTF, those days used to be Petroleum Trust Fund, that took on social services, provisioning of social services like medical, drugs, medical equipment, even schools and so on and so forth. He does that. But he wipes out an entire community that he believes are pro-Nadeko.
Nadeko.
He picks on leaders. If you get to hear the story of how Parawane was killed, if you get to hear the details of how Kudirat Abiola was murdered on the streets of Lagos, if you know what Frank Kokori suffered, who is late now? These are fallen heroes. If you know what happened to Chima Obadi, if you get to hear how Emma Ezazo ended up, Olaiton Oyeride, Bamidele Aturu. Bamidele Aturu was so courageous that as the best youth corps in one of the northern countries, he was to be honored by the military governor of that state who had come with the gift and prize as the best youth corps and brought out his hand to shake Aturu. Aturu refused and publicly announced that he cannot take a gift from a military. That was the height. That was the level. The kind of sacrifices these men made. If you know how Beko Ransom Kuti operated, even as an accomplished medical doctor in the board of the United Nations on Health, this showing that is 91, 92 now, he was leading us on the streets. Dikbo Fashion, Jingles, who was also president. And come to think of it, CDHR was once led by a past ASU president, Professor Yayi. In short, I think it was Festus Iyayi who handed over to Jega or Jega to him,
That's Jega,
at the level of ASU.
when Jega was still a radical.
Yes,
When Jega was Jega.
So, and we'll continue to lose our comrades in this manner if we don't deepen this thing and remain firm and then make progress. It is that progress that attracts the people who are less convinced to stay on. That it will take the sacrifice of those of you who are neck deep into this, who see it not just because what it does to you is that you are a very happy person. You need to know how I sleep. I can go into my room and tell you I want to sleep. I will sleep. It gives you some spiritual satisfaction that those people with all their material primitive accumulation does not have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So much, Comrade. So the takeaway from that particular reaction is that it is because of the kind of people we have now operating our democracy system that would make you think that the military, because it was not designed that way.
At all.
The democracy was not designed
At all.
to be this way at all. It is not supposed to be like this.
Military
It's not a democracy.
No,
This
not
is
at all.
not a
Yeah,
democracy.
so very carefully, it is called a civil rule. We have returned to
it's
civil.
just a civilian rule.
Civil rule. At
Because
best.
to be honest, if we were in a democracy,
There are parameters of democracy.
Nobody would wish for the return of the military
No.
era.
At all.
Nobody would
And
wish
like
for
those
that.
from the east, when you say war, they will tell you, please take it easy.
Because they know what
Take it
it
easy.
means.
They know what it is.
They know what it
Those
means
of us
and what it takes.
who suffered it will not want, and we are not properly orientated in this generation to face them.
To face
It
them.
takes by far more than social media engagement.
Exactly. And that is very much
It
true.
turned our people into guerrilla fighters.
Yes.
In short, the media became... This Barr Onanuga, this is the irony of the whole thing, was leading a guerrilla media house.
The same Bayo
Yes.
Onanuga of
The news-
Tinubu administration.
The news created the Temple because of Abacha. Temple was an underground media organization that needed to take on because the news was hounded. These people were operating underground. And how we were reading Temple, every Nigeria waited for Temple
To publish.
And no person knew where they were. You heard of the Radio Kudura. You heard of these
But
people
now?
people became vast in military tactics. And we have some of them too informing us, because many of them were convinced that what we were doing was right,
Was right.
and that what they were doing was not sustainable.